We are 15 stages into the first Grand Tour of the 2025 season, and I think I'm speaking for everyone at Domestique in saying that we have loved every single stage so far. The past 6 stages saw 6 unique winners. Dan Hole delivered a huge surprise in time trial on stage 10, followed by Richard Carapaz doing what he does best and launched an insane attack on stage 11 to take his first win of the season. Olaf Koy got his win in this Giro after a monster lead out by Wout van Aert, taking with him the last chance for the real sprinters in this Grand Tour before we hit the streets of Rome, at least. Mats Pedersen then ran up his victory tally after a duel with that same Wout van Aert. Kasper Asgreen joined in on the Danish party and scored a 5th victory for the Scandinavian country with a display of breakaway class. That same trick was repeated by Carlos Verona on stage 15, meaning Little Trek has now won 6 out of the first 15 stages. It's not all good news for them, though, as they lost their GC leader, Giulio Ciccone, after a nasty crash on stage 14. That same stage also saw Primož Roglič go down for a 3rd time this Giro. I am Bram, and I'm joined by my co-host Ethan. Welcome back to the Domestique Cycling Podcast.
Yeah, hello Bram, it's lovely to be back again. Obviously we're now without Joe. It was a bit of a late recording today, wasn't it, Bram?
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that. Just so our audience knows, we're recording this very late on a Monday evening at the end of the rest day. You've just been out to celebrate the title in Liverpool, and you were pretty close to the incident that occurred today at the parade. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, it was a bit of a shock, really, wasn't it? It was such a nice day, and then it gets ruined by a lunatic like that. So yeah, it's just horrible, and I hope everyone is okay.
Yeah, obviously our thoughts are with those affected, and we hope everyone makes a swift recovery. A little bit of a rough transition back to our regular podcast topic, the 108th Giro d'Italia. And I'd like to start you off, Ethan, by testing a few statements. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah, I'm always ready.
First statement, Primož Roglič will not win this Giro.
After the stage we've seen the other day where he looked very pale and sick, that statement is correct, in my opinion. As well, it did look like at a stage that he was not going to start on Tuesday, as in tomorrow. But obviously the news came out that he will start, which, if he's won enough, then that's fair enough. But is there a point in him starting? I don't know. I would say.
Do you think there's a point in him starting?
Not really, no. I mean, you just save yourself and go again and rebuild for the Tour, don't you?
Yeah, I would say so as well, that if he gets out of the Giro now really before the hardest week, he still has, he's got 2 weeks of Giro in him, not the hardest weeks at all, and has plenty of time to go for the Tour.
Yeah, and that crash on the gravel stage, I think, aggravated his shoulder, didn't it, a little bit, and things like that. And
Could be.
Yeah, and just overall the body from that crash has not really recovered, has it, I think?
Yeah, no, especially with 3 crashes in basically a week's time, because he also crashed in the time trial, in the recon, and then in stage 14. Yeah, can that body recover?
Especially when you're 35 years of age like Roglič is. It's difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't write him off, do you? That's the thing. Because he could just produce some magic and then come back. But as long as his health is there, that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's true. If Roglič abandons, which my personal opinion is that he should and go for the Tour, I would have quite high expectations for Pellizzari, because he's shown that he's in really good form, to join a breakaway in the coming week, because there's really some good stages for him. And if he takes 2 minutes back, then he's suddenly back in the top 10 of the GC. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he was doing a lot of dog and dirty work, didn't he? When Roglič crashed, bringing him back and had the mechanical as well. And then just overall, he's been quite overworked. in the mountain stages because that crash on the stage at the Naples it took a lot of the domestiques of Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe out of the equation completely, and they're not recovered from that. And yeah, he's been doing all of the work pretty much for Roglic, and he's been doing a great job so far.
I agree on that. Second statement. Juan Ayuso has an image problem for the rest of this Giro.
As in, like, an ego or...
That he's not going to be liked by cycling fans if he does go on and win this Giro without an absolute collapse of Del Toro.
Yeah, for sure, because people will always create headlines out of something, won't they? I mean, you get a lot of the media rumors and things like that suggesting that Yuso is a bit of a selfish and ego guy kind of thing. But, I mean, if you're a rider, you go for it, don't you? As well. I mean, we've seen it on the...
Do you go for attacking your own teammate? Is that something you do?
Not your own teammate, you don't do that, do you? That's a bit harsh.
I don't think you do.
They don't have their own domestiques going against each other and things like that, trying to like bring them back. Like Del Toro's attacks, it's just a bit of a mess. And I think we've seen this nice social media meme, didn't we, about the dog going in, and I think they need someone like that to go in and sort them out because I don't know what they're doing. It's a bit of a mess.
In the rest day, at the end of stage 15, there was a statement from UAE's manager they were trying to explain why the team was chasing down that group that included Del Toro after the attack from Egan Bernal. Do you agree with that statement? Do you believe that statement, that it was because they wanted to keep control of the numbers, or was that just coming from Yuso and saying, like, no, we're not going to let them right away?
I don't know. I think he kind of made a promise to Ayuso. Like, it seems that way, but like as well, Carapaz and Bernal are a big danger if they rode away, and Del Toro is in a sense unproven in the third weeks of Grand Tour, so you don't know what's going to happen there. So I guess it's like what's an analogy to use? It's like if people have ever seen cricket, where it's like you're just defending the ball, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but during that phase, I thought it was very odd. I rewatched it afterwards. You have the Bernal attack. Del Toro goes to follow it, and then Vine, who is on Del Toro's wheel, instantly accelerates as well and takes everyone with him. There was no hesitation of, okay, our leader has gone up the road, I need to back off. That seemed like it was a pre-agreed thing where Del Toro is allowed to go, but the team will ride for Yuso.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. It's just, I don't know what to do. They need a bit of like a wise little fox to just say, sort it out and like stop having disagreement, because they've gotten themselves into a right mess, which Yuso has struggled with like a knee problem, hasn't he? The stitches came out on his knee and he's been there or thereabouts and having a little bit of a pain in his knee. I don't know if that affects him, but it probably would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course, that moment in the race, he had just had a mechanical as well. And INEOS, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but they only started hitting the front of the peloton, setting a really strong pace after Yuso was able to get back on the back. So
which is fair. That's fair. It's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ayuso did have to make his way from the back of the peloton to the front of the peloton under extremely high pace from INEOS, but I think that's all fair.
That, then if he was dropped, then it's not really fair in like sporting terms, but it's not when like the yellow jersey, like, for example, crashes, and so I don't know about that there.
No, that's true. During the rest of it, there was also a statement saying that they will treat Del Toro as a leader and keep the gaps as they are, as long as Del Toro continues to perform, of course. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll have to see to believe it. And that is actually generally what I believe, yeah, because let's be honest, Ayuso would attack, no?
I mean, the Yuso that we've seen so far, except for the first like semi-mountain stage, I don't think he's had the ability to attack because of that knee problem. Hopefully, now that the stitches are out, it's going to go better. But I've not really been convinced that Ayuso can really drop Del Toro. Of course, we're going into some very tough stages. Del Toro isn't unproven in those. But just like facial expressions and body language, I would say that Del Toro is a lot more comfortable at this point than Ayuso is.
Yeah, for sure, especially with the margin that Del Toro has on his opposition. You'd go all in for him, really, wouldn't you, at this stage, going into the third week?
Of course, that's a big risk for a team like UAE to take, to go all out for a 21-year-old leader, while they have their backup leader, or they're actually originally their main leader, 2 minutes behind him. And of course, if Ayuso is not in with a move, and then later Del Toro is dropped, then they lose everything.
But like the big thing for me has been this over the past week, looking at how fresh Del Toro is in situations where riders will expend all their like energy, and you just get Del Toro, and it's like, yeah, I'm completely fresh, mate. Like Pocast, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, you have those attacks again in stage 15, Carapaz attacks, Bernal attacks, Simon Yates attacks, and if it's like from those riders, Del Toro is just straight on the wheel, and like he doesn't seem to be uncomfortable at any point in trying to follow those attacks. And those same attacks see Roglič dropped. So that's saying something about how powerful those attacks are. Although, of course, Roglič is not in a good way right now, but still to drop a rider like Roglič and have a Del Toro be quite comfortable looking, that to me is saying something.
Yeah, and as well, Del Toro he has the ability to pick up the bonus second, which is a key asset, isn't it? His punches, it's very, very impressive. I remember Toro Down Under, was it stage 2 or something like that, around the lines last year, where he won.
Yeah.
Caught everyone napping by surprise, just did a mega punch, boom, gone. And he just had a gap. And we've seen it in the Red Bull kilometers this year as well. His ability to mix and match with the opposition and just basically just go for it, which is...
Yeah, I mean, you have that as well with that stage where Pedersen won what, got second, Del Toro third.
He could have easily have won that if like...
I think the power needed was still something extra.
And that stage is... In the recent years, that one of the most, like the ending, is that like one of the best endings you've seen in quite a while?
Because I mean, it was 800 meters at 6%. That's just like super brutal.
I think Pedersen went around like 300, 320 meters into around that region. And Wout van Aert was close to come around it, but just couldn't get the power down, enough power in,
and that's saying something if Wout van Aert doesn't have the power to come around.
Yeah, now. Especially after we've seen in Siena as well.
Actually, I saw today on Wout van Aert's story, or his Instagram, that that stage he set an all-time PR for 10-minute power.
Yeah, so that just shows you as well how strong Del Toro is, isn't it?
Yeah, like if he can force a rider like Wout van Aert to set a best 10-minute power of all time, which was 518 watts, which is an insane amount of power.
I would dream of doing that, like a percent of that for 10 minutes.
Exactly. And then the same stage, Wout van Aert also set a 1-minute PR for 2025 at 852 watts. I'm guessing that was going up the climb towards the finish. But yeah, that just goes to show how hard Del Toro was pushing him to set like PRs like that.
Yeah, I mean, Del Toro was in a really, really good position heading into this final week, and it's just, yeah, I mean, we're going to go back to it again. Like, the comparison to Pogačar is like It's like an episode of Clone Wars on Star Wars. It's just like a stormtrooper lab in the UAE factory or something like that. Just reproduce Pokemon clones.
Yeah, the style is definitely just a match. But maybe let's go for the third statement. INEOS Grenadiers will decide who will win this Giro.
Yes, I think we're going to see it tomorrow on stage 16, aren't we? Yeah, we're going to see an attacking INEOS again, as usual, which we have seen this year. They got let down on the gravel stage with the mechanical of Aronsman. If Aronsman mechanical didn't happen, Bernal could have gone on much further. But he was relying on Rivera, obviously, to carry him home to the finish, but he was a bit empty. And like completely empty, in fact. And then, obviously, he's now pulled out of the race, so that's a loss for INEOS. Yeah. But the cards that they can play INEOS, Aronsman is a nice one to have, isn't it? As like a satellite rider. And a far right long range.
Would they even use them as satellite riders from each other? Because they are basically equal in the classification. I think there's only a few seconds in between them.
Yeah, which is very good for Aronsman, because he was like having mental doubts about himself after the opening stage where he lost so much time. Which is nice to see a good comeback, obviously.
But he had a great time trial on stage 10 as well.
Yeah, very good. Which suits Aronsman as well, if he goes from far out, because he has a big engine on him, doesn't he? So I'm expecting an Aronsman long-range attack, and then potentially Bernal to go on as like a medium distance attack. Let's call it that, medium distance.
It's interesting that you put it that way, because we've kind of seen it reversed, where Bernal goes on these like attacks from 90 Ks out, almost 100 Ks out.
We've got to try something there at least, haven't we? Let's be honest there. I mean,
yeah, they've even said it today in their interviews. They're INEOS, they have to try something.
You have to try something, because everyone's going to sit there just to may as well get a deck chair out, and they're going to ride up the climb if you just want to sit there.
I do just love the attitude of like, we're INEOS, we have to do something. But INEOS hasn't won a Grand Tour since 2019, but they still have that that champions mentality that they have to prove something. I love that.
I mean, you got respect to them, and maybe some other teams could learn a lesson, you know.
Mm-hmm. Fourth statement. Tom Pidcock has wasted this Giro by lingering in the GC for too long.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a very true statement, because what's the point of going to the Giro if you're just going to get a 15th place? You know what I mean?
Right now he's 16th, 5 minutes and 28 down on Del Toro, so that's after stage 15. I'm assuming after stage 16 it will be a lot further back. But surely that's not what Q36.5 is giving him that assumingly large paycheck for.
Well, then the Giro organizer would surely be a bit annoyed at giving them a wild card in the first place now, because what have they done? Yeah,
that's sort of what I don't get is, like, either you really go for the GC, and I don't think Pidcock has that in him. I don't see him as a Grand Tour winner. I know he himself does. Looking now, like, he's tried to hang on every stage for the GC. It's not worked. He's 16th. Let him lose 10 minutes and go for a breakaway, and then he can win a stage.
You know, the Verona stage, which Verona won, Pidcock could have easily have done something on there if he went to a breakaway. It's a long descent, obviously, it's not particularly technical, the Monte Grappa thing, but like the flat as well after it, where the breakaway regrouped and went. He could have easily have followed that move, for example, which Verona did, and Garofoli soon followed, but Garofoli didn't have enough power. Then Zana puts across. He could easily have just gone across there.
But would he have been allowed, because he's only 3 minutes down on the GC at that point?
But if he had lost time,
if he had lost time like 10 stages ago, he probably would have been allowed, and then he could have definitely gone for that win.
It's like the gravel stage as well. Could have maybe they had done something good there if he lost more time. It was like,
I think the gravel stage he wanted to race to win, although that also didn't really happen because of bad luck with mechanicals. Yeah, just in general, I think it's really weird how they've raced this Giro, and surely they can't be happy.
I don't think they'll be happy. I think I'm then going to give it a 1 out of 10. That's how bad it's been as well.
All right, that's enough Pidcock bashing, maybe.
Well, it's not Pidcock. The team itself is a bit harsh, but you have to be harsh sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, definitely, and of course with a big paycheck comes some big expectations.
As well in the sprints, but
yeah, you arguing for like his relegation, so.
Well, it was a relegation, but I'm sure the viewers can agree with that as well. 99.9% of them will agree with that.
I will gladly add myself to the 0.1 who don't. Those were all my statements, but I do have one little extra tidbit that came up this week. Damiano Caruso will continue for another year. He extended his contract. Normally, this would be his last year, but he extended his contract for another year. He'll be 38 at the end of the season, and he's still 6th in the GC currently. That's incredible.
Does it provide you with inspiration, Bram, being at your old age?
I am 31, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that age...
I don't look it, I know, but I'm 31.
You look 21 years of age, but yeah, being that age, 38, and being able to do things like that, I mean, you see it in other sports as well, don't you, where elite athletes are able to compete at ages like that. I guess it's like looking after your body, isn't it, really? You see, I'm mentioning Ronaldo, where looking after your body and things like that, just nutrition, what's the word?
It's also like just the stability that he has in his performances. He doesn't really have a weak day.
Well.
Yeah.
Like applying experience. Also, it's in a sense luck as well. You kind of need, but like you need to ride good to have the good luck in a sense.
Mm-hmm. But I think also the experience that, for example, he brings to Tiberi. They're doing the Giro right now together. They're at around the same point. I think they're a few seconds apart as well as teammates. That also offers up incredible opportunities for tactics in this last week of the Giro, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. And Tiberi, he was involved in that crash on the stage in the Slovenia. Was caught up far behind. So yeah, the Bahrain Victorious team, they rode well for Tiberi and really clawed the gap back to a manageable gap. And what they can do, having two leaders, you always want to have two near the top, don't you? I know we've mentioned the UAE one where it could prove to be a bit of a pain in the backside, but with Bahrain, you don't have that pressure, do you? Of like superstars in a sense, really. Like you can just like go under the radar.
Yeah, they don't have to carry the weight of this race. That's like UAE is going to do that, and then INEOS is going to make it difficult for themselves. But of course, we also can't forget EF Education with Carapaz, he's been also super impressive, and then with Simon Gates, who's just stealth, but just sitting there second place in GC.
I mean, it's deserved, really, The Visma Lisa Bike team have ridden well all Grand Tour, and getting the victory with Wow and Corey obviously is very helpful, and that provides them with motivation in the team to keep on going. And I want to give a shout out to Kelderman and Kreuzweig as well. Both of them and Lemon as well. Both of them have been particularly impressive to me. Kreuzweig has been on the flat stages, being a pure demon on the front, just controlling the gap to a manageable gap, which is, I mean, he could have won a Giro if it wasn't for some snow. So
true, that's true. Actually, people often forget that, but he was he almost won the Giro, and now he's a super domestique, just like hauling it on the flat. It's incredible.
It's how times change, isn't it? So perfect example.
All right, let's maybe do some predictions. We've done predictions every week so far. last week you said the Giro will be won by Egan Bernal. Is that still your pick, or do you have a different name in mind now?
I mean, it looks stupid if I say no, so I have to say yes. But obviously, personally, if I was to change it, I would say Del Toro. Because he just looks too good, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
I mean, my pick last week was Del Toro, so I'm not going to disagree with that. And I'm also going to add, I will pick Del Toro again just because I am so impressed with him so far. But within 24 hours of this podcast releasing, that might be entirely out of the window because stage 16 is a demon stage. But yeah, I think I will stick to Del Toro.
The third week is like 24,000 meters of climbing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, you wouldn't like to write that, would you? It's understandable. You see today, numerous riders, DNS. Oh, we're going back home. Then like Manye, I think, has done that as well. Manan Fretin has done that as well. There's post sprinters. Yeah, they're obviously gone back home to recuperate. I would not go anywhere in a third week if I was like a sprinter. Would you?
I mean, there is the stage in Rome, which you could hang out for.
You got to suffer all that.
The amount of suffering that you have to do to get there is unreasonable almost. Yeah, the Giro organizers, they definitely haven't made it easy for the sprinters to try and go for that stage in Rome, which might actually lead to quite a surprising winner because there's not going to be too many sprint teams controlling that stage. So we've seen it before where that stage is chaos.
Last year was Merlier, wasn't it? It was, yeah. Very, very good victory ahead of Milan, probably, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, the sprinters have to survive the Finestra. I think maybe is it the day before,
that's brutal. I've done that climb. That's an absolutely brutal climb.
Has the gravel in it as well.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it. It's not nice. It is really not nice.
That's what you're going to see Egan Bernal fly away.
He does love a bit of gravel.
I mean, if you can go and do that, then Netflix is signing that up straight away for a documentary series or something like that. But they definitely will. That's 100% sure. At least
it would be a beautiful story.
You need to have it because if it's not there, then I think Domestique should go and end up doing a short feature film on Egan Bernal.
Maybe that's something that we should do. Before I wrap up this shorter Domestique Cycling Podcast, I also want to give a quick mention that the Domestique platform is launching next week. So everyone who's listening, go keep an eye out for that. I'm even tripping over my words announcing it. It's incredible. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, that's then a wrap on this Domestique Cycling Podcast. Thank you all for listening and watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.